This is a picture book I wrote called Pancake Pennsylvania from about 4 years ago. It's a paperback picture book that I use kdp.amazon.com to print on demand and ship. So people buy it on my website and then Amazon prints it and ships it, and I don't have to handle any of that stuff. I don't think I can read it in 30 seconds, but I'll read the first few pages. At the peak of the Poconos, there was a peculiar place called Pancake, Pennsylvania. And as you might ponder, the people of Pancake were wrapped in pancake mania. Pancakes were pecked on for breakfast bites, but what was preferred for dinner at night? Well, if you guessed it, then you picked right. People picked out on pancakes at night. The people of Pancake played ping pong with paddles, made with ping pong pancake handles. Pictures of pancakes were posted on Pinterest while pogo stick bouncers. I can't read it. All right. To self-publish your own children's book, go to kdp.amazon.com. This will connect to your Amazon account. You just create a new paperback book, give it a title, fill out all this information, choose get a free ISBN number to have that generated. And you're going to copy and paste that into an ISBN number generator. You can just Google one, it's free, and it'll let you download the file. Once you get that barcode, you just put it on the back of your book. Choose a book size. I like 8.25 by 8.25. Fill out all the information and upload an interior PDF and a cover PDF. Review it, and you're good to go, and you get royalties for each book sold. This is a picture book called The Day Gravity Goes Loco that I wrote and illustrated, and I print on demand at kdp.amazon.com. Today I saw with my own two eyes a train off its tracks flying in the sky, a herd of cows jumping over trees, and a gigantic river flowing right above me. Of course I saw flying cats and dogs, I saw floating snakes, caterpillars, and frogs. Even the worms had learned to fly, luckily so had my neighbor's pies. My friends rode bikes like they were airplanes, construction workers took vacations because of upside-down cranes. The zoo, well forget it, it was just a mess. Have you ever seen a weightless lioness? The heaviest of things were as light as a feather, my bed, my toys all flying together. Thank goodness for shoelaces because they held me down. It's the first night I've slept floating off the ground. There's a word in Spanish that means crazy, that word is loco, and it can happen to gravity. Gravity, you ask? It holds things down to the planet. It's like one big invisible, super strong magnet. So imagine if, for even one day, gravity slowly faded away. Juice would magically rise from your cup. There would be only one hairstyle standing straight up. I bet your house would even float into space. Take my advice, tie it down with a shoelace. And if you see me float by, say hello on the day gravity goes loco. If you want to self-publish your own children's picture book, here's a really simple way to think about it. Break it down into two parts, story and illustrations or art. Your story is up to you. You got to write it, test it, push through to completion. Usually just writing it on paper or any notepad will do. Don't overthink the illustrations or think you have to spend a ton of money on them. You can make it sketchy, rough, you can do an amateur style, or you can hire a professional if you know one. But if you're not looking to break the bank, you don't even need illustrations. There are some books without them. You can just use words or typography, whatever you want. Then you need to create a cover and an interior file. Your cover will have a front and a back and possibly a binding, but for my paperbacks, I don't even use a binding. Aim to have 32 pages in your book, plus a couple title pages, so that'd be 2, 4, 6, and so on. Then you just need to upload that cover PDF and interior file to a print-on-demand service. I use kdp.amazon.com. I have no affiliation. All right, so I decided instead of self-publishing this the old-fashioned way, I am going to do a Kickstarter. I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm starting to set up my images. The night my bed turned into a submarine. Here's my header image in the works. I know that was kind of boring. Here's how to start writing and drawing a kid's book. First, you need an idea. But let's back up for a second. Why do you want to make this book and who is it for? Whether I'm making a book or a music video or a video or design, anything creative, I always envision the person on the other end receiving that and the reaction on their face. That's my why. I love that moment that I can light somebody up. Who's your book for? Your target audience. Think about that. Kids, adults, is it a picture book? I make picture books, so that's what this video is about. All right, so back to your idea. You have an idea for a story and you have an idea for characters in that story. If you're like me, ideas start off as little seeds. I don't have the fully formed story in my head. It just starts off as a tiny little idea. And day by day, as I write and I draw, the seed will grow. But these are days that I stack together. Writing on paper, drawing on paper. Some days are writing, some days are drawing, and then I go back and forth. Some days I do both. As you go, you will hit what I call the point of disgust. Push past it. Let's draw a giant stack of monsters. First thing we're gonna do, put on our headphones. Then we're gonna start to sketch it. Just rough sketching on a roll of paper and just pick out where the monsters go, stack them on top of each other, squish them, get some seltzer going. Keep this really rough because pretty soon we're going to import it into the Procreate app on the iPad Pro. Then we're gonna ink it. I'm just using one of the regular brushes in Procreate to ink this thing. I like somewhat smooth lines, but if you zoomed in, you'd see they're not completely perfect. So don't feel like you have to be at perfect lines. And that's it. We crushed a monster drawing. This is the work in progress of the big stack of monsters I'm currently coloring in. I got it all inked. I'm starting to drop in their eye color. Figuring out what color these characters are going to be. You can just drag and drop colors. When I color, I duplicate the ink layer and then add the color to the layer below it. That way, when I drag and drop colors or color in the layer below it, I can go in and clean up and make sure there's no space between the ink and the color. How to animate a simple cartoon character and have it auto lip sync to save you time. First, you're going to create it, then you're going to set it up. You're going to need Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Character Animator. Then we're going to auto animate it with a camera. I should have drawn a little camera. Maybe I'll draw a little camera so you get the point. Is that a camera? Okay, that's a terrible camera. First, we're going to draw a bologna sandwich on rollerblades. Then we bring the character in Adobe Illustrator. Don't worry about these layers. We're just going to design the character first. So build out the character. I'm sorry, my desk is a mess. Build it with simple shapes. And now once it's done, we're going to focus on building mouth shapes for each one of these layers. And make sure you keep the layers named exactly as they are in my file or one of the files that you download from Adobe Character Animator. Then get some seltzer going before part 2. This is part 2 of auto animating character. We are going to start building our mouth shapes in Adobe Illustrator. Build a mouth shape for each one of these layers and keep the naming of these layers exactly the same. So when you import it into Adobe Character Animator, it's automatically recognized. So let's import our character. Now let's pause here because it's important to know that where you see bologna in that red dot, that's the character. But to create a scene, you need to follow the red dot down there. Create the scene, but then go into your character and set up some anchor points so your character doesn't move all around the screen and the legs stay anchored to the ground. Now set the camera pose to your face, and the camera reads your face. Now the camera reads my face. This is part 1 of setting up my Kickstarter campaign for The Night My Bed Turned Into a Submarine graphic novel. I'm only on phase 1. I've got my initial placeholder graphic in place. I'm going to add some background graphics. I'm still working on the story, so I don't know what's going to go in the background here. Maybe an octopus or a pirate hook. Maybe a lost city of gold that's underneath the lake. And definitely his submarine somewhere. So I've got all the basic information set up with the description of the book. When Till's bed mysteriously transforms into a submarine, he's forced to go off on an adventure to find a sunken city of gold. Filled with gold. I've got to work on a video, figure out my funding goal. I'm going to do a 60-day campaign. I have not gotten that far into the pledge amounts. All I know is for $1, it'll be a digital PDF. I'm looking at other Kickstarter campaigns like Derek Loftman's Creations, just to model my rewards after his. His project looks amazing, by the way. Ooh, I need to create some of these fancy.